Good evening. Welcome to Investigator News. I'm your host, Ellie, and boy, Hamas. I'm almost speechless to talk about it because they're not turning over as many women as they were supposed to, and a lot of not only female hostages but the kids. I think they still got that baby. Um, the State Department says that they suspect one reason Hamas is refusing to release the remaining female hostages is to prevent them from revealing the horrors they've experienced. Israeli officials believe Hamas still has roughly 18 women in custody whom were kidnapped October 7th at the music festival. It seems like one of the reasons they don't want to turn over the women is they've been holding hostage is um, and one of the hostage that went to talk about it just fell apart is they don't want these women to be able to talk and talk about what happened to them. They're being raped and until they kill them. They're being raped to death, which is horrible. That's absolutely horrible. Um, and if that doesn't shake up some of these protesters, I don't know what will. I sympathize with the nice uh, Palestinians, but that's not who they're going after. They're getting them out and treating them like hostages because they'll use their own people as human shields. And that's what they're doing with these hostages. They don't care. Hamas is a terrorist group that will kill and kill. If you're not them, they kill. Um, so, boy, what a way to start a show, huh? Um, and so we are now. What I heard this morning, right off, and I couldn't back it up totally. Is they hit the bunker with the Hamas terrorist, I guess, one of their really big compounds. And then I heard that they flooded it with water over the weekend, and quite a few came out. Uh, I don't know where they're keeping the hostages, but every time they say they're doing something or they blow something up, I get very fearful that is that where the hostages are? Because that's what they would do. They'd put them all in a bunker and then leave. That's just their way. Hezbollah's the same way. Houthi, all of them are. They're terrorists. Now, on the good note, I mentioned this last night. Governor Abbott reveals a major plan to authorize every peace officer in the state to arrest illegal immigrants. Now, this weekend, that's what was announced. He made this announcement on Sunday Morning Futures. In 2 weeks, he said he'll be signing a new law to the state of Texas that will make it illegal for people to enter the state of Texas from another country illegally, and authorizing every peace officer in the state of Texas to arrest those people entering our company, period. Go Governor Abbott on that one. Now, if we can get the rest of them to do it. He's acting for his state to protect, because when he swears in to protect the people of Texas, and he's not backing down on this. And I was listening to the hearings today, and I mentioned it on last night's show about that um, bill that's sitting on Schumer's desk. They're waiting on it. They're waiting, and they confronted um, the I think the Democrats with it today. And boy, they got heated moments. It was either today or yesterday. I believe it was today. So, um, they passed this bill that's going to ease the flow of my immigrants from coming in. And it will block and charge those that get in illegal ways. Go to the border stop and check in. That if you don't, Governor Abbott's going to get you. Yeah. All right. Now, you guys remember that great big, it was in New York City. They painted that great big BLM or Black Lives Matters on the ground. Anybody take a guess how much that one cost? Oh yeah, I wish I was that guy that painted it. I would have done it for probably half the cost. Well, uh, the refurbishment of the famous mural, which Democrat Mayor Muriel Browser initiated, painted in June of 2020 for the BLM protests, were underway in the city and across the country, appears to have run. Guess what? Oh yeah, I'm gonna choke on it. Uh, all right, everybody else could choke on it too. Appears to have run taxpayers $271,000, including 217,000 in labor. I could have done it cheaper than that. I painted my house. and 53,000 in paint supplies, according to the documents obtained by Judicial Watch from DC's Department of Transportation. Wow. I hope it's only New Yorkers that's got to pay for that. See, that's what happens. That's what I was explaining last night with California. Everything they keep implementing, you pay for, it goes on your taxes. We pay for it, not the government. Yeah, the government, they say, okay, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's do this for 270,000, and then they tack it onto your taxes. See, that's the problem. This is the frivolous um, ideas and like that go into the budget that I'm talking about. They throw all this stuff in, like for the Green New Deal. Hey, how about some paint? Yeah, we're going to go paint something. Every time they get the budget, remember it gets stalled and they fight over it for a month or two, and oh, the government's going to shut down. No one's going to get checks. And it's because the Republicans say they don't like what's in it. I am not going to pay for stupid stuff. And that's one of the big reasons I started calling the senators and congressmen. Um, all right. Um, so more and more of this January 6th narrative is coming out. More are starting to tell the truth. We found out dozens of FBI agents were dressed up in plain clothes. Some were even urging people to go into the building. Now, I don't know how many times, Karen, I've said this. Karen's our moderator, the best moderator that stuck with me. Yeah, I give her heck all the time. But we love you, Karen. Um, I watched the video of one of the rowdy groups. They say that went in and I think the guy is even in prison. I'm not sure. I haven't seen his YouTube. It got taken down a long time ago. But I watched him and he walked through. I watched people being silly and going up and kissing statues, and they didn't break them. They didn't paint them. They didn't, mark them up. They didn't pull them down. They walked through and they just looked. And then the Capitol Police said, okay, come on, time to go. Everybody starts shuffling out the door. And he went through the whole building. Now, Fur Boy with his feet on Nancy Pelosi's desk. Okay. And he took her computer. Now, that wasn't good, but that's not destructive. So, but in another interesting twist, a former Capitol officer made an announcement that could even further damage already weakened narrative. Since the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, decided to release all the footage, the riot has become a topic of conversation once again. Oh, the horrors, they say. This Johnson guy's got to go. Yeah. I think it was Rachel Madcow that said he was the devil, that he's possessed. Yeah. MSNBC, I think they're throwing holy water at him at this point. So the former U.S. Capitol Police Lieutenant Tarek Johnson, who was present at the Capitol on that day, has been challenging the government narrative on the incident. On Twitter, I guess Twitter, Johnson indicated that he had spoke with illegal counseled and understood the legalities surrounding the release of the audio. So the former police officer said he had entrusted information to Tom Fenton of Judicial Watch and indicated journalists working with the Blaze has permission to receive the info and do what he believes the best to do with what they have. Um, the mainstream media is telling you that January 6th was an insurrection. Please tell me if these actions of an assistant chief, Yogananda Pittman, were heroic and proper. To give some context to Pittman's call sign is Unit 2, and she's letting on a dais in the USCP Command Center. And you can hear radio traffic. She was a 360 view of the outside of the Capitol. Johnson added she can also see the activities inside where there's a camera. Um, she was on the phone to obtain approval for the National Guard assistance and the assistance from law enforcement. She was on the ground trying to de-escalate it and the situation and asking Pittman for help. And she even gave her call sign. Well, no one did anything. So it backs up the criticism of the Capitol Police that they didn't feel they were in harm's way. So I'm taking it, folks, that during all of this, they call, she said, should we call the National Guard? Oh, don't worry about it. We got it. We got it. The Capitol, they're not being bad. See? Wow. Once again. Did you guys hear about that? Where was this? It was in Virginia. The home that exploded. Now, it was the police showed up this guy's house in Arlington, Virginia, after he barricaded himself in the house, and he fired a flare guns dozens of times and a firearm in the residence. So they got there about 4:45 p.m. And so they found that the suspect discharged the flare gun about 30 to 40 times inside the home into the surrounding neighborhood. Police said the news release, property, no damage or injuries. But the cops were attempting to execute a search warrant on him, and he decided to discharge several rounds from what police believe a firearm. And the house blew up. It caught on fire and it blew up. Let's see if I can, yeah. Oh, you know what? I can't, I got to move this over. I can't show you I mean, you have to see it. See it to believe it. There you go. I believe I got this right. Yeah. Okay. Have you guys seen it? Karen, have you seen it? All right. They said they didn't know what it was. How much you want to bet he turned the gas on? Because I haven't heard anything else on it. But that almost looks like he turned on the gas and then fired the flare gun until it exploded. I mean, wow. And I heard about that first thing this morning. It shook houses for I think they said almost a mile around it. It was huge, a huge explosion. And some people even thought, this is it. This is it. We just been hit. Oh, yeah. He blew himself up. Kaboom. And a huge fire. And it was a duplex. And, I looked for most of the morning to see if there was occupants on the other side of the duplex, see if they were okay. but I haven't found anything. So I'm gonna keep looking, and maybe me and William can find it for tomorrow, and if maybe they'll have more info on it too. So wow, that's just crazy stuff. Um, China. Um, I don't know what is up with China, folks. The Navy responds after China claims American warship illegally intruded the South China Sea. Um, China has accused the U.S. naval ship of having illegally intruded into waters near the Second Thomas Shoal, the area hot territorial dispute between China and the Philippines in the South Sea. The Chinese military ordered the naval force to mobilize and track the USS Gabriel Giffords on Monday after China claimed the warship violated the waters or international waters. Now, according to the statement from the People's Liberation Army, what was said, the U.S. deliberately disrupted the situation in the South China Sea, seriously violated China's security. This is serious. It undermined regional peace and stability, seriously violated international laws and basic norms governing international relations, fully demonstrating that the U.S. is the biggest threat to peace and stability in the South China Sea. That came from the PLA. What I heard and what the Philippines is saying, and what I found out from my resource over in Taiwan, is China has now moved into international waters and said, what are you going to do about it? So I haven't seen William to see if he says anything on this, but if China moved into international waters, folks, then we should respond. And they're not, nobody's really mentioned it, because when they say, when you're in a fight and you draw that line, you say, step over that line and see what you get. Well, China stepped over the line and said, okay, now what are you going to do? Now, if it was Trump we would have had strikes. But will a strike trigger a war? More than likely. They have moved 100 and I think I got an article on it. 120 over 120 ships into the area and over their boundaries, not only into the international waters of with us, but with Taiwan and Philippines. And now Taiwan is claiming this is the stance right now. They're saying act or go away. Now, why would this be happening? Well, what I found out is there is an election coming up in Taiwan. And Jinping said this is how it's going to go. And they're saying, no, we have a free and independent election. And if it doesn't go his way, then it's time for war. So he's really pushing and making a stance. And hopefully we don't have to react to his actions. But from the sounds of it, now Joint Chiefs responded to this and says the China threat says they're stronger than ever now. Well, stronger than ever is good, but see, this is where I believe the Pentagon, and I bet you all the generals are just in that that private office, just saying, now what? Now what do we do? Because they will have to get Joe Biden's permission to react. Now, Sleepy Joe, I don't know if he's going to react. He might call Jinping and say, stop that. I don't know. Because, we don't know what he's going to do. He might say, yeah, let's go to war. Let's strike him. Now, with Trump, I believe, and I'm just guessing with Trump, I believe he never would have let it get this far. I think he would have went over and sat down and talked to Jinping years ago. The same way with, Taiwan, and tried to figure out something kosher. But look at how far it's come in the last few years. So, okay, on. I got great stuff today. Um, okay. Dick Durbin, um, during being Dick Durbin, he's one that was over there in Ukraine in 2013, 2014, 2015 with Lindsey Graham and a few others. Now, he turned all order on its head yesterday in his solution to the problem at the border. Durbin agreed that something has to be done on the southern border, but his response was blew everybody away. It might be insane and incredibly dangerous for the safety of the nation. Right now, they're letting all kinds of people in without having true vetting at the border. He's suggesting to basically let them in and put the aliens into our military. What? Now, if we're going to scoop them up and make them go into the military, are they going to fight for us, or are they going to fight for their countries when we have to go against them? At this, they've got they said, well, let's put them as farm workers for Bill Gates. No, wait a minute. We got other people that need jobs. They want to put them into the plants, some of these manufacturing plants, and Biden said it's because Americans don't want to work those kind of jobs. So let's put them in there. Well, I thought the robots were taking over on that. You notice how it's robots being put in these things, and then all of a sudden now the migrants, they want to put them in, these immigrants. Um, Even illegal ones. They're going to put them in, like a military thing. They may be locked up at night. You know what? I think they'll run. I think they'll run. He talks that it would allow undocumented people who can pass the physical and background check. They're not even going to tell you the real names, because if they tell you their real names, then if you check them out, you might send them back. So we're going to give them what? IDs and documents and put them in the military. No, they had come up with the craziest ideas. Jordan's House is moving forward with the Biden impeachment inquiry, a vote ahead of possible court challenge. They're wanting to push this. They said they assume at one point there's going to be a challenge in the court. We must think it helps, he said. So according to the Constitution, you could start an impeachment inquiry based on what they're doing. But it always helps if a full House of Representatives is on record with it. He thinks it would help to have an official vote, as well as they think they should take a vote and really try to get the last key witness in. So now that the bank documents are coming in at a fast pace, now that they have Devin Archer, and he was working with Hunter Biden at Burisma with Kerry's son, I believe. So Jordan said passing an impeachment inquiry resolution will help the House Republicans take depositions from Hunter Biden and his business association. And that's including James Biden and Tony Bobulinski and even Rob Walker. So it sounds like he's gonna push it through by the order of the Constitution. And he has every right to do that. You could push it ahead. All it does is it starts everything in motion. So if he's impeached, he might not be able to run for president. I read that if you are going to run for office, that you have till, I believe, the 17th of this month to register and make it known. And so far, where is the Democrats? I mean, I looked, they have 3, but I've never even heard of them. Oh, okay. We're going to move on. Gale, I guess, Simbin and his daughter left Beijing February 24th for a better life, a safer one. Over 35 days by airplane, train, boat, bus, foot, they traveled through 9 countries. By the time they touched U.S. soil in late March, they had lost about 30 pounds. The most harrowing part of the journey was trekking through the brutal jungle of Panama. So you see what they're doing. They're from China, and they're trying to get into the United States. The second day, his feet swelled, dehydrated, weakened, threw away the tent because it was too heavy. The sleeping pad, a moisture-resistant sleeping pad, and a change of clothes. His 13-year-old daughter got sick, vomiting. Her forehead, she was running a fever. Um, uh, but he believed they would only be safe coming here. A growing number of Chinese have entered the state this year, and to exceed Venezuelans and Ecuadorians and Haitians, according to the Panamanian immigration authorities, they're coming in at a record number. Now, they are finding spies. They are finding CCP. It's just like all the other countries. Just like from El Salvador. We got a bunch of them, but we got a whole bunch of MS-13. We got a lot from Venezuela and Colombia and South America, but you know what? We got the Colombian gangs. We got a lot from Mexico, but we got a lot of cartel. See, that's why Abbott wants to shut the border. So they said they tried to do exactly what they said. But the inspector said they were nice and cordial to border police as they crossed country to country. And they said they come from a low, middle class to low, but they just can no longer stand the tortures of Jinping and the CCP. You get in trouble for being a Christian, a Muslim, a Uyghur, a Tibetan, or a Mongolian. And so here they would be able to be the religion they want. Now, they didn't say what they were. They said they don't want to be a part of the Communist Party. They ended up, they said more than 24,000 Chinese migrants were temporarily detained at the southern border this year. The surge of desperate Chinese braving the Darien Gap is a reversal of a long-term pattern. So some are coming in, but now, so this journey they took, by the time they got here, they didn't even really want to, boy, the dogs tried to get in. I lost track. By the time they got here, they didn't even know if they wanted to be here anymore because the freedoms. They said it's. They must have went into California because they said it was a lot like China. The strict rules, and they don't even know if they're going to be accepted into the country. So folks, we do have them coming in, and if they did it the right way and they go about it right, even though it seems like the Uncle Sam thumb is on them, And in the long run, it'll pay off for them. But you just can't come over here and just think you're going to walk across the border. Uh, you know, that was asked at the hearing, and they said, "Are people walking across the border?" I think Mayorkas was asked this, and he said no. And he said, "Are you sure?" And he says, "Oh yeah, I'm sure." And so then they showed pictures, they showed a video, and he just shut up after that. Hopefully, they get him impeached. Time to start straightening this country out. Um, um, Now, the Philippines accused China of swarming the reef off its coast. Now, this is what I was telling you about. It was more than 120. All right, I correct myself. 135 Chinese vessels were spotted near the Whitsun Reef off the coast of western Philippines on the province of Palawan this weekend. Although it remains unclear exactly what the vessels are doing there, the whole idea to the project presence is Naval Affairs said that there is that they're there and there's nothing you can do about it. See what I said about drawing that fine line? That's what it sounds like to me. I'm there and there's nothing you can do about it to chase me away. Now that's a threat. That is definitely a threat. To me, they drew the line in the sand. And this is up against Taiwan and the Philippines. So that's 135 ships. Um, they're putting up, okay, everybody get real happy with this one. There is a bill to block proposed federal EV mandates, and it passes the House Rules Committee. And it's over um, it was a bill to block the implementation of federal EVD mandates, and it passed the House Rules Committee 9-4 on Monday. The Choice in Automobiles Retail Cars Act will now go to the floor to be voted for. Um, so I've, and then, I mentioned last night with William that Biden is buying oil to fill up our reserves. When we were self-sustainable 3 years ago, we were ready to go. We were going to be selling it. If they would just let them pump the oil, then we would be okay. And Karen, did you notice that we had less earthquakes when all of the oil drillers and the fracking was happening? We had less than we do now. That's weird. We stop and we get more earthquakes. Hmm. All right. So, what do you think you owe the government? What do you think you owe as far as the national debt goes? Does anybody have a clue what they put on our heads? Well, you know what? It's going to surprise you. The U.S. national debt surpasses 100,000 per person. Aren't the Democrats great for these bills that they put in the Green New Deal? They said when the Green New Deal went in, and then the last budget that had the House ruled by Nancy Pelosi, it reached 100,000 per person. The rapidly growing debt in the U.S. federal government has hit another milestone, topping more than 100,000 in debt per person. While the population and U.S. national debt are large numbers that are difficult to calculate, the rough debt estimate and rough population estimate end up, per person basically. The U.S. Census population clock estimates that the U.S. population at nearly 336 million. Meanwhile, the Treasury Department estimates the national debt is nearly 34 trillion and can be pushed to 35 easily. And if the spending doesn't stop and the party stays the same, we might be looking at 40 trillion in the next 4 years. National debt just exceeded that. U.S. Treasury confirmed in the middle of last month, with the first month of the fiscal year, that they had a deficit of 67 billion. Concerned about the rising debt, now they're looking at the U.S. now to either slow down its spending or figure out a way to bring the debt down. You know what would bring the debt down? Hit us with more taxes. That's what they're going to do. They're going to say, "Hey, we all got to pay our fair share." You know, they're going to raise our taxes, huh? If we don't, and we topple more and more and more, they're only going to increase our federal taxes on us. And you're going to end up with a paycheck of like $10. And they're going to say, "Oh, yeah, but we'll give you welfare. We'll give you food stamps. We'll give you Section 8, or you're homeless." Remember the working homeless. That's just scary. And when you look at it, when you look at Klaus Schwab and Soros and the rest of them, uh, and you wonder, why do they just want to crumble the world? And when this last, I think it was at a COP25, um, um, that they were doing, many of them are now starting to realize this isn't working. What they want and how they want it isn't working, because you would just, their plan is, let's just starve everybody and kill everybody and take everything away from them, and they'll be happy. Well, no, they're losing votes. They're losing. They're getting more protesters, more riots, more people demanding, more people on their federal pay. Just like I said, everybody would be on welfare and food stamps. And there's a lot of these politicians in these countries, head leaders and kings, that say, we're just not. This isn't going to make it no more. I bet someone's fuming over that. Um, Now there was an ex-Virginia election official out of Virginia. The court papers said that I believe it's a she, altered, um, definitely altered um, the election, making false statements. One misdemeanor charge of willful neglect by an election officer. She filed for bill particulars, which requires prosecutors to provide more detail about her wrongdoing. Um, Michelle White was indicted by the grand jury on 2 felony counts of alleging corrupt conduct as an election official, making a false statement. One misdemeanor indictment of willful neglect of duty. Um, so she's fixing to go on trial January 16th. More and more, they're catching them. They're catching them slowly. Remember, I said it seems like chaos in the government, and it's because there's so much going on. So every day when me and William do these news, it's just all over the world, and it's chaos, chaos, folks. And it's not going to get any easier for the next year, because people are going to start freaking out. There's elections all over the world that still need to happen. Oh, boy, I got a good one. It's at the end. I got a good one at the end for you guys. Um, um, Pakistan, at least 7 injured, including, well, let me get, it was an IED blast. Um, and it would happen in Peshawar. An IED blast. Police vehicle was targeted. Now, there's not real much on the story, but they said, Uh, at least 4 children were hurt and 3 adults injured. And according to officials, it was explosives went off on a busy road around 9 a.m. The target was the attack of moving police vehicle, which passed the target spot just moments before the explosion took place, according to sources. Um, no group has even claimed responsibility, so they don't even know how it happened. They are frequently targeted by militant groups, including Islamic State and Pakistan Taliban, due to its proximity to Taliban ruled Afghanistan. So I'm going to wait and see what kind of information we get, and maybe see what me and William come up with by tomorrow. But Pakistan even has its own terrorist. Now they've been handling their own. We don't have to get in there and help them. Same way with Afghanistan. What about Saudi? When the Houthis went after Saudi. Now we did help with ammunition, but we didn't jump in that war. Not every war needs us to jump in with 2 feet. And I don't think the Ukraine and Russia war, because there was agreements made, there was second agreements made. It was almost like what we see with Hamas. We say we're going to do this, and then you break the rule, and we say we're going to do this, and you break the rule, and that's what's been going on with Ukraine and Russia for over a decade, and with the Abbas Italian. And, I've even given history on Ukraine where, they fight with the Russians and then they run to the Germans and say, help me, help me. And then the Germans go at it with Ukrainians and they run back to Russia, help me, help me. If they can't handle it, they need, like Poland has offered, to move in and to help take over the country. Uh, Zelensky just needs to step down or work with Poland and a few of the other countries that's willing to help him to build it back up. But just let this war go. Nope, nope. And now the United States and Congress has refused to even give him any more money. And he's getting mad. He's went to the Senate, he went to Congress, he went to Biden, and he's saying, why can't I have more funds, more humanitarian aid, more weapons, more help? And it looks like they could be turning their back on him finally. Leave that war alone. Um, Now we've been talking about lithium. I think last week we talked about it. Well, there is a um, in the tundra of northern Quebec. None had searched until recently, and they discovered um, that they have found lithium. He says that this man felt giddy every time he feels fresh again. Only this time he wasn't looking for gold. Ryan was looking for metal, like even more lucrative. Um, Using a combination of old-fashioned prospecting and the cutting edge tech, some of the gear invented itself, he said, and by him. So, initial surveys have been promising majors like Rio Tinto, 100 billion miner, are moving into the area. Um, so this guy is very giddy that he actually discovered lithium, and he just became a millionaire. Yeah, there you go. Hunting the resources. Hunting the resources. All right. Oh boy. Um, Saudi says absolutely not to fossil fuel phase down demand by these climateers. They said we need this. Now they're trying to do away with coal. And he said, no. Uh, he says in the first AP reports, phase down, phase out was included in the first draft of an agreement on climate action. Delegates are haggling over during the talks that are scheduled to finish on December 12th. But Energy Minister Prince Salman, the half brother of de facto ruler Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, told Bloomberg that Saudi Arabia, the world's biggest exporter, rejects the proposal and says it's ludicrous to try to end oil and coal. And he's not in agreement with this new Green Deal. He's not in agreement with them trying to make him sign agreements at which he is not, that he doesn't believe and is not going to sign. Good for him. Good for him. Uh, um, Now, Putin is basically going to meet with Saudi Arabia and maybe some of those from BRIC. And it's a rare diplomatic foray, they say, outside Russia. So we don't know what the talk's about. It's probably over oil. It's probably over the Middle East oil. Um, and okay, boy, I'm going to end early today. Now, my last one, people, this is just too funny. Um, Kerry might need to cut back on his own emissions, they say. The Biden administration's climate envoy was discussing U.S. policy on coal power plants and climate change conference in Dubai on Sunday, when Kerry may have unleashed a burst of wind or energy. The former Secretary of State was speaking next to Becky Anderson, managing editor of CNN. You guys know where I'm going with this. I know you guys are. Um, and also the executive director and the International Energy Agency. Uh, there shouldn't be any more coal fired plants, he said, that permitted anywhere in the world before launching an anti coal um, uh, diatribe. I find myself getting more and more militant because I do not understand how adults who position responsibility can avoid responsibly for taking away those things that are killing people on the daily basis. I'd love to see his facts that, because of climate change, it's killing people every day. Carry completely in his thought, the crude sound of passing gas could be heard on the microphone, and it was very loud. The crowd breaks into severe laughter and applause. Yes, Carrie tooted. All right, folks, that is it for tonight. Me and William got a great show for tomorrow for the World War III report. And I had a little bit of a shorter show earlier, but, I'm trying to cut back a little bit and not keep you guys wound up for an hour. Well, except for trivia. Except for trivia. I'll keep you guys for an hour for trivia. All right, folks. I want to thank you for watching. Please subscribe and hit the thumbs up. Ring the bell. Follow us over there on Facebook. And we will see everyone tomorrow, me and William. And if not, you'll catch me on the Weather and Lifestyle News Show. And I thank you for watching. Bye-bye, folks.